And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Our great friend Dave Petzo with us from the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, and Money Matters. I was going to say on Facebook and Twitter as well. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. It's good to see you. It's post-holidays. We're rolling now, huh?
We're rolling on, indeed. So this big book comes out, Fire and Fury. Michael Wolff advocating getting rid of the President of the United States. Your thoughts?
The left won't stop, will they? I mean, they will not stop. It's pretty crazy when you stop and you recognize that these folks are just, it's a pretty serious constitutional discussion here about getting rid of the president. We don't like the president, so we just get rid of him. I don't know why they think the politics are going to remain the same forever, and that their guy at some point in time won't be tossed out for nothing either. This is a pretty big deal. The president can't be tossed unless there's a very valid reason why. And this kind of talk does nothing to move the ball forward because they have nothing. I think that what's going to happen if you are simply looking at the midterm elections, if the whole answer is anti-Trump, but we don't have an answer, like the Democrats have had no answer for the last 10, 12, 20 years, they have no economic plan at all except to tax more heavily and regulate more heavily, which, of course, slows down the economy. That has been their plan. There still is no plan. So if that's what they think they're going to wipe out at the midterm is trying to get Donald Trump impeached, I think I think it's a losing fight, and I hope they keep fighting it.
Well, not only Donald Trump impeached, but we're talking about possibly being removed from office where you'd have the vice president and a majority of the cabinet come together. I think it's a majority of the cabinet, and they would have a meeting. They would send a letter to Congress saying the president is unfit for office, and that would begin the process.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's likely to happen, and I have no idea other than publicity for the book and the fact that obviously Wolff hates Donald Trump, and so on they go. I think it's pretty clear that the White House was in great disorder, but this tax bill, the fact that business is rolling, the stock market's hitting all-time highs, this is not just a happenstance. This is due to the fact that business has been freed, and we're talking about pro-business policies, and guess what? It's really weird, Kevin, but the stock market reacted accordingly to the market, if you will, or I should say the politicians getting out of the way of businesses.
What would happen?
Who knew, right?
What would happen to the stock market if Donald Trump were impeached or removed from office?
I think it would be a temporary crisis. I don't think you're going to find that Mike Pence is a big problem for the market, for anybody. I think the economy would continue to do well, and he would be a pro-growth president as well. But it is very disruptive. I just can't imagine that is not going to be the kind of disruption that would cause all kinds of problems globally.
Well, I think it would be a massive disruption.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think it goes without. I think the market would settle back down.
You've already moved on from Trump. You're going, Pence is going to be this type of president. I'm just going, could you imagine the disruption that would happen? Look, there's a blip in the Middle East and it hits the market. Imagine the most pro-market president since Reagan being removed from office, or even that possibility.
Yeah.
That could start some big issues, I would imagine.
Oh, it certainly would, Kevin. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying in the long run that the market would settle back down. What issues would the market have? Temporary. Because I think Mike Pence would be just fine for the market and business. And one of the big changes has already occurred, and that's on the tax front, and that's going to stay in place.
Dave Petzo joining us from the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, here at KIDO Talk Radio. So let's get back to some of the big winners as we get ready. People's kids are finally getting back to school and such. So the big winners last year, was it the Republican Party, even though it was a turbulent year?
Well, obviously the biggest winner is the stock market, right? So you had to say the market itself did very, very well. I would say the biggest winner is business by far. And although the Republicans did have a good year, as it turned out, they passed tax reform. Started off kind of rough, but they got it done. And
would that be you as well, then?
Would
you be a big winner?
Was I a big winner?
Because,
I own stocks.
You're in the stock market, so you and the stock market were the winners of 2017.
Well, business, that would be me too. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So business and the market.
I don't know if I'd go me too. That's another. But I know what you're saying. So,
Yeah.
So the big winners were the stock market and such. So now we have this new deal. Do you expect a flood of money to come back into the country, as has been previously speculated, because you're going to have a lower tax rate for people that make money in other countries?
The answer is yes, Kevin. We will see a lot of it come back. There's still expansion and needs for cash overseas. Some of the debt is held overseas, and they'll go ahead and use that to pay off that debt. But the answer is yes, it's coming back, and it's going to come back at a low tax rate, and it's going to fuel economic expansion. The argument now is all that money is going to be used for just to pay dividends and to buy back stock, which benefits stockholders. And my answer would be, okay, let's assume all of it is. How is that bad? How is that bad? How is it bad that all retirees, all pensioners have an increase in income from higher dividends and cash flow? That's a good thing, not a bad thing. How is it a bad thing when the gap that these states have in the pension underfunding gets closed because the market does better than expected? I'm not sure where you say that's bad. How is that bad? Where does that affect people in a negative way? And so really we're just in this world of complete makeup of what the problems are, why we shouldn't have tax reform, why it's all bad. It's only going to benefit the rich, because they're not real people. All of those things that are just stupid and a silly part of the argument. But bottom line is businesses already have returned money to workers, raised minimum wages, and they're also going to be expanding. Many of them have already announced plans to go ahead and expand here in the United States. This will accelerate in the coming months. This tax reform took a very short time, but people weren't prepared for it, so it's going to take time to make plans. But it's a very big deal, very positive to the overall average worker.
Our great friend Dave Petzo with us here, and since it's still very hot, the price of a single Bitcoin continued to back away from $17,000. It's down 5% now to around $15,000. Still, it is amazing. Here you go. The price of another cryptocurrency, not to be confused with Bitcoin, is Ripple coins, which surged 150% at one point last week. Also continued to pull back. It was changing hands for $2.62 for a single coin. So again, we have these cryptocurrencies, and when are you coming out with yours?
I thought you were looking up Petcoin and see how that's going there, but
just waiting for you to launch it.
I am waiting to launch as well. I'm getting them all hidden out there in the code, in the blockchain code. I'm not going to tell you how many there are because I don't want you to know.
Do you know how many?
And I'm going to keep some.
I see on this, but here we have this Bitcoin. Do we expect it to continue to grow? And remember, a year ago, it was not even a year ago. 6 months ago, it was at about $1,800, $2,000.
I know. Kevin, it was crazy, and I don't expect it to be the solution long term. I expect cryptocurrencies of some kind that have actual government backing to be a real deal. But I don't know why I'm supposed to believe in Bitcoin that has a limited supply, but I don't know how many there are, created by somebody I don't know, and I don't know if they put a whole bunch of them in their own pocket. So why would I buy it? And what is it worth, and why is it worth that, and what does it do? So those are all problems that I think, from my perspective, of why I don't expect Bitcoin to continue to do well. I do expect that the underlying technology will be replacing a lot of financial transactions that we do now. That blockchain is an amazing new technology. And that's why there's so much money into the space right now. It's an amazing new technology and has a bright future.
Dave Petzo with us here at KIDO Talk Radio. So here's another one. Now, do you do continuing resolutions to fund the Petzo Center? How does that? I mean, because we're about ready to run out of money again. Do you go to the board and to the Congress at the Petzo Center, and sometimes you
asking for a little loan?
Right. Sometimes if you want to raise your spending levels and debt ceilings and such like that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about an airplane, so I wanted to get an increase in
Petzo One.
The good news is the ACDC is they get
right.
all kinds of money. So I've put in for a new remodel on the place.
I see. So when we take a look at Congress, though, once again, they're going back in session. The House coming back this week. What do you make of this stuff? It must drive people, not only in business but everywhere that has a budget.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Dave Ramsey to get this. This continuing resolution to fund the government for the rest of the year.
It is, we do have to get this done, and it is, the Republicans, no matter what, are always blamed on this. We've talked about this before. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. If Bill Clinton's president, the Republicans shut it down. If Obama is president, then the Republicans shut it down. If Trump is the president, Republicans shut it down. It is always going to be the Republicans' fault. Right now, that's the way it is. And so they can't afford to not get this pushed through. But we forget with the sequestering, you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, that sequestering really did close the deficit down. It shut down government spending a little bit, and that was a very important thing to do. So we did narrow the deficit just a little bit. If we can, even if they have some kind of sequestering as a compromise to this, that would be just fine. But we've got to get this done and get it passed, get the government funded, and it doesn't really matter in my mind what they do. The economy is up and growing, and the deficit will shrink by that alone. We just have to keep it up and going and keep the right policies in place. This will get the economy growing faster, and tax revenues will explode. They always have, Kevin. It's just not an arguable thing in economics. It's always arguable how much. But when government gets out of the way, business grows, revenues go up. That's been true under Democrats and Republicans both.
Dave Petzo joining us. Much more coming up next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. All right, the always friendly Dave Petzo with us. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. So we're looking at the possibility of gasoline prices just creeping up slightly. Boy, you remember the old days when gas was at $4 a gallon. It seems like yesteryear. What do you make of that?
This is a perfect spot for the United States to be in right now. Gas prices are relatively low. And at the same time, energy companies are able to make money, and that's good for future energy development here. Pipelines are coming under this president. They're going to be allowed to come, and so we're going to quit endangering the environment by driving trucks on roads and trains that wreck and cause massive amounts of spillage when they do. We're going to do it in a safe way, in a sane way, and we're going to be building pipelines at this price level. The companies can afford to keep drilling, and we can continue to be energy independent. It's a stunning thing, a big change for America, and this is a great price level for those companies.
Dave Petzo with us as we continue on. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We get ready for the start of the Idaho State Legislature today. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
And the state of the state for the governor today, right?
How exciting.
It is, I'm sure. Idaho is doing very, very well. I guess we're going to fight over the grocery tax credit again, which is fine, or not taxing food with sales tax. I'm not sure where they're going to come up with the money other than that, but they'll fight about it again this year. It's a hot button topic, but I don't know if there's much more on the agenda, Kevin.
What do you make of Congressman Labrador's economic plan, which is to cut income tax, business tax, and I can't remember, 555. Everybody pays 5%. What do you make of that?
Like it. We're one of the highest tax states in the nation for the average person. Our marginal tax rates of 8% they come very quickly. So an average middle-income family, even a low middle-income family in our state, gets hit by one of the higher taxes in the country. We talk about California and laugh about all the ridiculous taxes, and they are ridiculous. I agree with that. But the idea that we're somehow really a low-tax state is crazy. So there's plenty of room, in my mind, to go there and to fight harder economically for all of those businesses and all those people out there that would like to live in Idaho. I don't know that we need more attraction here than the fact that it's the most beautiful state in the country, but because people are certainly moving here. But, Kevin, I think it's a simplistic 555. I like it. It's not bad.
Traffic and weather together at KIDO Talk. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, Kim. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with this T-Mobile. I'm out here in Star. your stomping grounds, and for some reason I'm showing a good reception, but it's not working real good here. I called in last Friday, as you know, and I appreciate you taking my call regarding the question I have for Congressman Labrador. I was not too, happy with his response. It sort of reminded me of Lindsey Graham asked about Common Core, and he told the questionnaire what was Common Core. If you don't know, Mr. Labrador, what fracking is about and the oil and gas industry and what they're trying to do here, you better go do some investigation, because this is going to be in your own backyard where you live when you're not in Washington, D.C. Today between 2 and 5 at the Banner Bank is going to be a meeting. I've mentioned this before. It was set up with the EPA and the Department of Lands. And what they're going to try to do is basically slough this off onto the EPA to basically monitor. So when things do go bad, then the state officials who voted for all this stuff, people like Mike Moyle and the rest of our lovely citizenry there in the legislature who wanted this to go on in our state, thinking it's such a great thing and hasn't had much payback into the state coffers as a result. This is a way of keeping them off the hook, because they can point to the EPA because they didn't do a job of protecting our oil or our water resources here.
Well, let's bring in Dave Petzo on this. Your thoughts on fracking and what Mark has said.
Well, fracking is revolutionized. It's made us energy independent, which is something that we didn't think would ever exist in the United States, and then almost with a snap of a finger, we're there. It's just taken no time, because fracking, the technology has been incredible, and it just proves you can get oil and gas out of just about any rock. And so whether it's here or everywhere else, it's a huge boom for us. And like you and I talked about, though, this is a big shift for any of these candidates. You and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. None of them have had any kind of a courageous package. People are going to disagree with them. That's great, but at least we now have somebody coming out, and I think we're going to see the other candidates having to come up with plans of their own, and then we will have, I feel, a much better debate going forward.
Well, I'd like to respond to that, Dave, and that is the fact that the EPA, first off, has not been able to protect the people in places such as Pennsylvania. In fact, Kevin, when we were at that meeting out there in Emmett, which I was able to speak about the possibility of creating and re-agitating dormant faults in our area here as a result, which is now going on in Texas. Fault lines that have not been activated for hundreds of millions of years are being reactive down around where Irving Stadium, where the Dallas Cowboys had their old stadium that was demolished. That area is now becoming seismically active as a result of injecting wastewater into the ground. And,
Dave, let's bring in Dave Petzo on this one. Dave?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm not a scientific expert, but here's what I do know. The EPA under Obama, which Obama hates all petrofuel everywhere, but particularly being drilled in the United States, his EPA, his not right-leaning EPA, said that fracking, they could find no fault with the fracking, and there was no danger to the groundwater. And that was their conclusion. I don't know what your conclusion is or why or what your testing you've been doing, but that was what the EPA said, that there was not any danger. So I'm going with that for right now.
Well, we've had, Kevin, if you recall, there was 2 people out there at that meeting. One of them was a farmer who leased out his land and had his water contaminated. Those casings do not forever protect the water resources underneath or around it. They do crack, they do deteriorate, and that will leach into our drinking water system down the road. And if you get seismic activity that will crack those casings, you'll get further leaching. And once you contaminate our drinking water, we're in where they want to do this is the most populated area in the state of Idaho. I think they've got some demented minds, and with all the stuff that's going on in the Balkan region, why? And then Trump opening up, and you know what? I was for Trump, but now he wants to open up offshore drilling. What is this drill? Why are they doing it in neighborhoods, in backyards, in places of Eagle, or to the west of us out here in Star, or Middleton, or Emmett?
Let's bring in Dave Petzo again with this drill. Are you in favor of this?
Certainly, absolutely. Yeah, if energy companies want to spend the billions of dollars, which it's an extraordinary amount, to make our energy in our country more independent, because we're going to use it regardless. It doesn't make any difference. It makes no difference at all if it's expensive or it's cheap. We will use it. And businesses are moving here, manufacturing's moving here, but particularly, Kevin, what we forget is we're the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. And that's why prices of natural gas, even with this incredible cold snap that they're having back east, have stayed stubbornly low. It's because we have an abundance of energy in this country, and they can open up offshore, but I don't think people are going to go and explore for much in the way of new fields, because, again, there's such an abundance of oil here for much less than you can go and develop offshore fields for.
Why keep drilling if we have an abundance right now?
Well, they are keeping
That's
drilling.
a good question, isn't it? I'll let you go on that one, guys. Think about it. Thanks.
All right, Mark. Your thoughts on that, Dave Petzo?
Energy companies, to grow, have to keep drilling because they do use up the resources they have there, and there is an abundance. There's an abundance as we put another hole in the ground. There's an abundance of energy there because the United States was blessed with a very unique structure here with the shale rock and that is all over the United States, and it just doesn't exist elsewhere in the world, where we can go through the shale and to fracture it and for very low cost and take it out. Because it's so low cost and it is so abundant, and we get more out of a barrel of oil than we used to, and we're driving on electric, we're soon to use a lot more solar. All of the renewables are just technologically right around the corner. I would hate to be an energy company because I just don't think that 10 years from now we're going to use much oil at all.
Dave Petzo, as always, we appreciate it.
Good to see you, Kevin.
You'll never know what you'll talk about here in the morning.
Apparently not. Well, oil's finances too, I guess, right?
It is.
All right.
You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Here's one excerpt of the book where Michael Wolff describes your relationship with the president's two sons, Don Jr. and Eric, and also Jared Kushner. Let's put it up. Lewandowski regarded both brothers and their brother-in-law with rolling-on-the-floor contempt. Not only were Don Jr. and Eric stupid, and Jared both supercilious and obsequious, the butler, but nobody knew a whit about politics. Fact is, you didn't think much of Don Jr., who helped force you out as campaign manager.
You know, Chris, it's very important to know, Mr. Wolff and I never spoke about this book, so where he comes up with these assertions of what I think of the Trump kids or Jared Kushner are completely made up. I've never spoken to him about this, and so let me be as clear as I can be. And look, I talk about this in my book. I think Eric and Don are fantastic advocates for their father. I have a very close working relationship with Jared Kushner. I respect what he has done by leaving his business and coming to government service. So these, again, are made-up accusations from a person who never spoke to me about my opinion of anybody in the Trump orbit or the Trump family.
And from Fox News Sunday, that you can catch every Sunday right here on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Kevin Miller with you here, taking your calls about the issues that matter to you. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Joyce in Boise. Good morning, Joyce.
Good morning, Kevin. My schedule allowed this morning for me to hear an early replay of our conversation last week, and I'm very glad that Liberal Steve was on first. Thank you, Kevin, for defending my honor. I wasn't able to hear the follow-up, his call after mine, and you were just stellar. Your diplomacy and grace proves to the left how we are accommodating, we listen, and we don't overtalk people. But when you send him on his way, it's always with grace. But I thank you for, again, for defending my honor. What I wanted to say is that after having lived in my whole life in California, prior to coming to Boise, I'm a nurse. And unfortunately, back then, I had a divorce, and didn't receive any child support. So I was working my behind off, many times 2 jobs for my son. And about 10 years after moving here to Boise, Ventura County Division Child Support said that the arrears had been taken care of. The amount was about $17,000, and I got all of $5,800 of that because of tax and interest, and that went to California. Child support? Who taxes and generates interest on child support? California does. So liberal Steve, intelligence sounds like is lacking, not intelligence, ignorance. And maybe he should go back to California. It has been desecrated, and Governor Brown, what a joke. We used to be able to go to the beaches, the tolls, tax after tax after tax.
Well,
beautiful.
And how long before they bring it here?
That's my worry. That is my concern, because I can see it happening right now. We had beautiful agriculture. It's the most beautiful state ever, because I hail from there. Ocean, mountains, desert. It's myriad of grace and, God's creation. But hello, here come the opportunists and the money, and, it's always been about that greed, ultra wealth. It's just sick and sad. And those that want to, corrupt our beautiful state here of Idaho, our country is amazing, and there are so many opportunities for everybody. But when you follow the money trail, it's just like the bully in the schoolyard. Those that gather around think they're protected, and those that, the people that stand by looking, and then those on the outside that just go and do their own thing. It's fear. And I just can't grasp how unkindness, lack of love, lack of God and community, how people succumb to it. Those that don't have, we will help them. Absolutely. I'm a nurse. It's a God-given right that everybody should be fed, taken care of.
Right.
And we have our churches to do that. And, well, not just churches, but just good, kind people. So, when greed comes in and lack of God in our daily lives, I don't get how it just like the bullies can just take over. We have got to stand up in our ways. And again, thank you so much for everything you do. I won't keep you, but just California took well over half of my child support. Thanks, Liberal Steve, for, appreciating California and those that are part of it.
Well, Joyce,
anyway,
you're out of California. We appreciate the call, and thank you for the comments, ma'am.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless. All right, what a nice young lady. Let's go to another nice young lady. Cindy joins us at KIDO Talk Radio from Caldwell. Good morning, Cindy.
Oh, Kevin, you're so funny. At 72, I do feel pretty young this morning. And you know what? I so like to hear that woman talk, and have you let her talk. You and Steve, Dave Petzo, it's just amazing that you work so in tandem, in concert. You'd be great as even co-host eventually. It's just beautiful. But you also have the temperance to deal with situations, because I also am a registered nurse and worked many years in, psychiatry. But you have that ability. You two could be both psychologists to, de-escalate even, callers that everybody can get emotional. So I was just listening intently to you both, because you are my filter, like your Lars Larson says. Where can people go to get the conservative view? I do peruse the papers. I read a lot. But thank you very much, and thank you for the co-host when you have him on. It's just beautiful to me because you do have what she said, the diplomacy and the grace to be able to do that. But, tragically enough with Michael Wolff, you're going to have two world views. That's just the way it is in America coming into, actually, they're clashing. And it doesn't surprise me with theistic evolution, macroevolution, and where people's thought life, your worldview, you will act on it. So does it surprise me at all that the vitriolic hatred in trying to take this president down in any manner, shape, form, they come to kill, rob, and destroy him? That doesn't surprise me at all. But I think back to his inauguration. Who's behind him? You've got your Christian body like, Franklin Graham. You've got Dr. Jefferson. No, I believe, interestingly enough, you have an ad for a regenerative stem cell therapy, and I think that's good. But I believe Donald Trump does have a regenerated spirit. He's growing and learning. I believe also when you look up in the dictionary, what horrible word did he say was a genius? Look it up, folks. It just means he has a distinctive spirit. And I'm thinking it's like that. I believe the epiphany, went on in Donald Trump's spirit, and he's learning and growing, and it means that he has exceptional power. Well, I'm sorry to say to you, it's not a bad thing. He is the president of the United States. And you know what? I say the other side, as they wore black the other night, they are draconian. They hate him. They don't try to reason, understand, and that's the way it is, and we have to go on from there. So would I read that book? Of course not. Would I peruse it? I already know where it's at. I just am filling myself with, I have better things to do with the books I read, like Dan Bongino's, Protecting the President. I won't spend the time. So thank you and Dave Petzo, and those are out there that I can glean information from early in the morning, and go on for there. And, Kevin, I keep telling you that you have the ability to be a psychologist. That field has so fallen from within that it doesn't surprise me after they've changed that DMS theory that other nurse Joyce would know to the point where everything is morally relative, and you should see what comes out of there. So you go on, Kevin Miller, and if you want to change professions, go be a psychologist. I'm serious. I'm totally serious.
So you're saying that the run is over here?
No, I'm saying that you have to think like our president and like with fracking, out of the box. And there's so many other skills that you have that you could do that if that ever, I don't know, I believe God closes the door and sometimes he opens it up for something else. I'm just putting that out. Or if you ever get tired, want to have a co-host.
Well, Cindy, it sounds like you, that you know something that I don't around here.
I don't know anything.
When you're talking about switching careers, have you heard something that I need to hear about here?
No, I'm saying you have brought to that career of being on a radio program. I say, and that's the teacher in me, and I do have very good discernment. That's just what you're supposed to have. I would say that, you could do other things, and I'm saying for other people that, and maybe that's what I'm saying this morning, for other people that may have lost a profession or want to do something else, hey, there's hope. You can do a lot of other things, And
I don't know if I have time to switch careers. How long would it take to become a psychologist or psychiatrist?
You already have a college degree. Go online. You're actually doing what they do every morning. You're just a very good listener. They can't really. They learn how to do a bunch of tests and they listen because unless you're having another problem that you need a psychiatrist and meds, that's a whole other thing that you have to get a license to dispense meds. I'm just putting that out there to give hope for people that also, maybe in a situation that they need to think about doing, something else or something parallel to make more money. But thanks for the great job you do in the morning. I'll let somebody else talk, and thanks for bringing just the words that they call this president are, I can't. I don't even go there. It's actually to me more comical. So you have a great day, Kevin Miller, and I will be looking forward to see who you have if you're hosting somebody else.
Ha! All right, Cindy, thank you.
I really mean that. Bye, Kevin.
I know. Thank you. I mean it too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning here as we move along. Phone numbers, you've gotten them. Of course, you can always go to KIDOTalkRadio.com, take a look at a few things. We have a column up there about the Golden Globes last night. In addition to that, Kellen Moore's retirement. Those stories and more available at KIDOTalkRadio.com. And again, a couple other things going on. I love this. Apparently, Apple has decided that kids playing with your cell phones or giving kids cell phones is a bad thing. That's number one. Number two, what to do about the Michael Wolff story. We'll talk about that next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Help keep kids from getting hooked on smartphones. In an open letter, Jana Partners and the California State Teachers Retirement System, citing studies and surveys about heavy smartphone use and social media negatively affecting children both physically and mentally, such as a decreased ability to focus on educational tasks and higher risks of suicide and depression. The investors, who collectively control $2 billion worth of shares, urging the company to play a defining role and pay special attention to the health of the next generation. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
And why don't we bring back Legos and Tinker Toys? Traffic and weather together at KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work safely and on time to make sure your commute is good to go. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin. KIDO Talk Radio traffic. Eastbound on the freeway very slow because of accidents at 10 Mile Meridian and Locust Grove, all off on the right-hand side. We have a 4-car accident working just south of 5 Mile and Overland, down near 5 Mile and Hollandale. This time of year, we spend a lot more time indoors, and having your ductwork clean can keep your home cleaner and the air in your home healthier. Call the duct cleaning experts at Western Heating and Air, 208-375-HEAT. That's your Impact Directory traffic update. I'm Dave Burnett on KIDO Talk Radio.
KIDO Talk Radio weather from the Channel 7 First Alert Weather Center. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Kevin. Daytime high today will be up to 42 degrees. We're going to be fairly warm as we see a storm system coming through tomorrow. Rain for the valleys, snow for the mountains, though, above 6,000 feet. And we're going to be seeing another little chance of showers on Thursday. I'm just Channel 7's Eric Gebert.
And there we have it as we move along here. Oh, my goodness gracious. Kevin Miller with you. But, I have a friend of mine who loves his cell phone, and a lot of people do, right? A lot of people love their cell phone. But the idea of little kids, and now people are, having their kids with the iPads. We've become so dependent on technology. It's just utterly crazy. It's utterly absurd. How many times do we find ourselves, what's going on the fake or Twitter or Instagram? Wherever we go. Is it commonplace where, you're at dinner? I think this happened to me when I was in Salt Lake last year. Myself and Mrs. Miller, who else would I be going to dinner with? We're sitting there having a delicious some type of meal. And we look over, and there's a huge family, like 10 people. And believe it or not, every single one of them, and we're talking young kids, had their own personal devices, had their own, and they were all on their phones. Now, I'm not a fan of the Star Trek series, but we've become a nation of Borgs, right? Sometimes I agree with this. I like this. End this silly smartphone addiction. Just get off your phones. Like everybody says, get off my lawn, get off my phone, get off your phone, and have a real-life conversation. The millennials are the largest age cohort that we've ever had in the history of this country. And they're digital natives, they're technologically savvy, but one thing that is missing is that idea, that ability to communicate, right, verbally, which is so underrated in the age of texting this, that, and the other. But to verbally listen, to comprehend, isn't that something that is indispensable, no matter what your age? And, Generation X, the kids that were raised on television. This is television 1,000 times squared because you can take it with you anywhere. We see and hear the ads on the radio and the TV. Hey, take your favorite program with you. Sometimes I don't want my favorite program with me. It comes back to old-fashioned reading. So there's some advice unsolicited for parents from the expert being a non-parent. Don't you love hearing that? Well, we love hearing from you. Keep it here. Stay informed. Kevin Miller, Fox News next.